Hi, everybody. I thought I would do a message, I guess, in response to everything that's happening in the world. Not everything, but to the situation that's happening with Ukraine and that whole horrible nightmare that's brewing in Middle Europe. And where do I begin to comment on that? It's taken me days and days and days, and I've just sat around and thought, what do I want to say? How do I approach this? I mean, I have spent, as many of you know who know me or who have been in my classes, you know that I'm a student of history and have been since I was a child. So the historical perspective is something I'm steeped in. But it's something when somehow we reach a place in history where history doesn't have enough references. I, excuse me, I feel like from the scene of the Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna and Krishna are on a verge of the battle, the night before the battle, and Arjuna doesn't know Krishna is a god. Arjuna is facing this battlefield, and he knows on the other side are family members, are people he knows and loves. And he doesn't want to face this battle. And he says to Krishna, I feel like the fabric of the universe is about to be torn apart. And he says, I know that if I run away, I'll face a horrible karma. I mean, a horrible dharma. I won't fulfill my dharma. But if I kill all these people, my karma. And Krishna says, you'll face this battle because that is your dharma, your calling. And God has already prepared other lives for people, that it was so simple. But I think what we feel and what people are collectively feeling is that the fabric of our universe is getting torn apart. It's getting torn apart. And in all kinds of ways, we have been feeling that. Certainly, as part of this pandemic era we're in, we have been feeling that. And, when I look at all these uprisings about don't tell me to wear a mask and I'm not going to get a vaccine and blah, 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 and these truckers driving with their protests, oh, God. But I sat back and thought, are you really protesting masks? Are you really? What is the matter with you? And then I thought, I don't think so. I don't think all these uprisings about masks and vaccines are really about that. I don't. I think it really is about this collective sense that we have that the fabric of our universe is being torn apart, and we don't know how to identify that, how to language it, how to actually grab on to what that feels like in terms of here, I can prove that the fabric's being torn apart. We just know it is. And we have these experiences of a collective illness that is changing our way of life. And we can't fight that. But we can certainly fight putting on a mask. We can certainly fight a vaccine, when in fact vaccines have saved humanity for how long now? From polio to who knows what other vaccines have saved people. All of a sudden, that's the enemy. Because it's not the enemy. The enemy is that we sense something in the collective that we cannot fight. And that's change. That's change. Because what we sense now and what we are experiencing is this higher truth that we experience on the internet, that all change is universal. Now, Buddha said that all along, but we had no proof of it. We had no way to experience it. Now we're experiencing it. All change is immediate. As soon as Putin decides to invade a country he has no right to, the whole world is engaged in, oh my, oil prices, this, that, banks, stock markets collapsing or going up or this or that. It goes right to your bank account. All change is immediate. All change is universal. All change is constant. What is the law of the universe? We are interconnected. We are interconnected. What is the purpose of becoming conscious? But to recognize exactly these truths, that we are one system of life, that all life breathes together, that no one can make a move, nothing can make a move that doesn't include everything and all of us. Someone can say, well, Ukraine, who? That's way over. No, it's not. No, not anymore. What is the purpose of consciousness but to become conscious that it's not just over there? That's like your heart saying that the kidneys don't matter because they're down there. No. That's not true anymore. You cannot abide by a holistic view and then decide, but that's not part of my holism. That's not part of my world. That is our world. What is the purpose of consciousness but to become conscious of the whole? And then to become conscious of your role in the whole. And that you have the power to respond to what's happening in the whole. It is offensive to me that individual maniacs and lunatics like Putin, like Trump, can so turn the world upside down, can so create darkness, can so spread lies, can just invade and decide, you know what, I'm going to send my armies, and now all these people who were living peaceful lives a couple of weeks ago might lose their homes, might become more refugees, because I've decided I want that country. And I thought about Putin. Of course I've thought about him. And he won't take a vaccine because he's afraid someone will poison him. But can you imagine what kind of life he actually leads? Where he has to be so insulated and so isolated because he's afraid of everything and everybody. And this is exactly what Stalin did. This is what Hitler did. They become so afraid of the world they live in, and so mistrusting, so paranoid that, they're going to take my power and they're going to try and kill me now. And so they have to have food testers and they have to live in these isolated little palaces. Oh, sure, they could afford any palace they want now, but they can't leave it. The idea of just being able to walk out on a park or whatever is preposterous. They can't do this. They're prisoners of their own power. You want to live like that? Would any sane person want to live like that? And that is the price of this insanity of grabbing power. And for what? And for what? How long does he? This is the thing about these maniacs, and that think that if they amass enough wealth, if they amass enough power, they can actually take on immortality. That somehow or other, they can defy even any disease. They can live longer. Putin's supposedly has $200 billion stored. What's he gonna do with that? What's he gonna do with that? Heaven can wipe him out in the blink of an eye. human beings are so outrageous. But consciousness is this era, these decades that we've been living through, is about becoming conscious of the power we have as individuals. That this is our world that we are co-creating, that we're co-creating. That somehow or other, if we gathered our forces within us and did not passively sit back and look at this and dismiss it as if it doesn't mean anything to you because it's not Canada, or it's not the United States, or it's not Australia, or it's not some nation that matters to you. You don't have to pay attention to it because it doesn't matter to you. It matters to you because it is an integral and intimate part of the whole in which you live. And that psychically, energetically, symbolically, and archetypally, it represents the structure of force. And the archetype of the bully, and the archetype of the aggressor over the passive, over the weak, over the fighters. It represents a theater in the invisible world in which we are all participants. And to that extent, all of us have a choice, whether or not that is okay with us. Whether or not it is okay to have your home taken out from under you. Whether or not it's okay. It is not okay. This will never be right. You know, I remember when I was a kid, and my father was a Marine in World War II. So I grew up with Marines all over and with stories of World War II. And I thought that was the last war, that was the end of it. That there'd never be conflict in the world again. And then Vietnam. And of course, these and more conflicts. And I was saturated in the study of war by that time, even in the 60s, even as a youngster. I could not study enough about it because I could not figure out what is it about human beings that they think that if they want something, they could just take it, that they could just bomb it, that they could just contrive some reason to go into another country and take what they want. What is that? What is that entitlement, that self-righteousness, that thing in human beings that craves the fight, that craves the gun, that craves this idea? I'll tell you what consciousness is about. It's about realizing that if you have to use a weapon that makes a sound, you're an amateur. You're an amateur. That real weaponry is quiet, silent. That real power, this is what consciousness is about. That real power comes from the energetic domain. That real power is consciousness applied directly. I think that's why people loved movies like Magicians and Star Wars and all of this, because somehow or other the theme of a different kind of power used against evil, even though there were lighting weapons or whatever, but there was an idea that good could defeat evil, because that's the eternal lesson that we are always combating. Could the goodness in us defeat the evil in the outside world? And the question comes up again and again and again and again, even within you in the tiniest ways, when you have to battle something like, does the stronger part of me have what it takes to defeat the weaker part? There's no difference. It's the same question. It's the same question. We are always battling those forces. As we look in this time, do not underestimate your capacity to cast an energetic vote for how things turn in this world. To look and say, wait, I am part of this breathing fabric, and I will not put my force toward war, but toward the reconciliation, toward peace, toward a different model. Put your energy into that. Put your prayers into that. Don't be a passive force in this era. Consciousness is about becoming conscious, recognizing I am breathing with everyone in Ukraine. I am breathing with everyone in Russia who does not want a war. I am breathing. I will not let these maniacs, these power-hungry maniacs that want to dominate the world out of their crazy ego ideas of being the new czar, the new global dictators, destroy the possibility that this world can evolve into something much better for all humanity. That's what I think. And I think the time has come. I did that whole series on transformation. This is part of that transformation. This is part of the world transforming. We never anticipated that we might face another war in Europe. But this is the age of the unthinkable. This is the age, it is unthinkable that nuclear weapons could go off here in this country or in Europe. It's unthinkable, which is precisely why it could happen. Don't ever kid yourself and tell yourself that this cannot happen. Anything can happen. Anything. Which is why the power of your spirit is so important. The power of who you are. The power of all these decades of becoming conscious have not been just so you eat raw vegetables. Everybody's role is to make the whole better, not just themselves. Not just themselves, but the whole. It's how you contribute to making the whole better. I'm going to be doing a series in April on light, law, and love. Those are the powers of God. Those are the powers of which you're made. You are made of light, law, and love. Those are the forces you use to co-create your reality. And I want to teach people how to use those, how you are using those. It's going to be a real get down to business, the light that's in a choice, the laws that move when you make a choice, and the power of choice that includes the forces, the energies of the universe. How to empower you how to really empower you. I think that time has come, and I'm looking forward to teaching that class more than you'll ever know. And if there was ever a time when that class was needed, it's now. It's going to be rigorous, but I'm ready to teach that, and I hope you'll join me there. I didn't mean to use this as an advertisement. I don't mean to do that, but I am so convinced of the power in each person and the power that you have that I simply want to teach you how to be as empowered as you can in a world that looks like we're losing it. Because we're not. This is part of that message of transformation. It is tap into something that's in yourself as the world outside looks like it's out of control. That's exactly when you need to understand where the controls really are. And they are in the world behind your eye. not in front of it. So with that, I leave you with hope and optimism, and also, honestly, say the prayer, God, hover over me. Just fill me with grace in this time, and certainly over the world. Thank you.